Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gaming the System. Today, I'm joined by my good friend, former colleague, Mr. Sayem Ahmed. How are you, sir?
Hello, I'm all right. I've been thinking too much about Dragon Ball Z.
Have I got a topic for you?
Oh boy, is it gonna be about how many different Goku outfits there are?
There's
Because let
a
me tell you, I'm an expert.
there's at least 17, right?
There's way more than 17.
That's too many.
There's there's a lot. That boy wears a lot of clothes, as it turns out. Um, no, but it's a pleasure to be on. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course.
I guess for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sam. I'm a writer of all things gaming and tech, and I have also run a Gunpla podcast for like 39 episodes, almost 40 episodes, over the past like 7 or 8 years. We've not done an episode for 2 years, but let's not talk about that. Um, but no, yeah, that's a bit about me, in case you're wondering. But yeah, so what I am and who I am is basically I like writing about the things that I like, and that has varied from time to time. I've found. Um, so started in gaming maybe like what, 10, more than 10 years ago, like 2010, honestly. Um, so imagine me, I was like 16, right? And I was like, okay, I'm a poor teenager who doesn't have any way to play the new games that are coming out. What can I leverage to make myself get new games? I was like, I'm just going to write reviews, just like all those other schmucks do on the internet.
It's a good plan. It's a foolproof plan.
Yeah. So I think I was looking at my first ever blog earlier, and I dare not tell you the URL because the writing is fucking dreadful. Um, and the first game I ever reviewed was Darksiders,
The
to give
original
you an idea of the
Darksiders.
era.
Wow.
Yeah, the original Darksiders.
It's going back a ways.
Yeah, the original Darksiders just for my blog, and I think the first like piece of writing that I did like paid was a bunch of gift guides, a parent's guide to the Xbox 360. That was my first paid gig for some marketing job that I'd gotten later down the line. So yeah, I was doing. I've been in the game for a while. It's it's a bit weird seeing how things have gone. In all honesty, because I remember reviewing Demon's Souls back in the day when it was a new release that no one really understood, and that was the start of my professional career. And since then, covered text, heard a lot of gaming, uh, for pretty much everywhere. I want to say at this point,
Quite a lot of places, yeah.
I c- there's probably more places that I don't have bylines than I do at the minute. Um,
You're like Thanos collecting the Infinity Stones. I'll have
that's
Eurogamer
quite
here,
soon.
Wii PC there, Dexerto on the thumb.
I, the thing about games journalism specifically, though, right, is that like I set out with a goal. When I started to like properly, like seriously, professionally in like 2015, so about 9 years ago, I got sick of working in Starbucks basically, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna quit my job and just do freelance. And this must have been around when The Witcher 3 came out because I remember buying a 970.
I bought a 970 for Witcher 3 as well.
I bought a 970 for The Witcher 3, and I bought a 660 Ti for The Witcher 2.
Gosh.
Um, well, not a 660 Ti. We're going a bit further back. So technically, I used to be on a different podcast, which is long since dead, with an old internet friend of mine. He bought a 480 for The Witcher 2,
Fucking
and he
all-star
gave
card.
he gave me his old 9800 GTX Plus.
God.
So, yeah, yeah, it's it's something. But no, seriously, in 2015, I started writing for all those different places, and it's been exciting. So I set out with a goal of like interviewing my favorite developers, and kind of like once I'd done that, like I eventually got like a little column on the now defunct Waypoint, also known as Vice Gaming.
Breaks my fucking heart, man.
So yeah, the people there were great. I owe a hell of a lot to them. Mike Diver, Austin Walker, et al. Um, so I interviewed, Hidetaka Miyazaki, the guy that directed all the Souls games. Yoko Taro behind Nier before Nier Automata came out, and Kitsura Hishino, the person behind Persona, the Persona franchise or the modern Persona franchise. And that last one got a hell of a lot of hate actually,
Really? Why?
because I asked him why a female protagonist wasn't in Persona 5, and he said it was too much work. And I was like, bro, you walked into that one.
Jesus
Um,
Christ. The Ubisoft defense for Assassin's Creed Unity, wasn't it? Too much
yeah,
work to do female animations.
yeah. I could hear what I've still got the audio from that recording, and I could hear the PR person wince when that question got translated. They're just like shit. So
Reminds me
yeah,
of another time that there was a translation error. It's like, hey, better than nothing. Mighty Number 9.
oh god, the less said the better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I sort of completed games journalism once I'd got my Infinity Stones of developers that I wanted to talk to, and then kind of just got bored with it. I don't know what to say. I got a bit bored, doing bits here and there for various places. But my approach to it then was like, okay, I've done enough. People know who I am. Um, I'll go do some of the marketing stuff for a bit, and then I eventually came back to writing. This time about tech for the aforementioned Wii PC. We mentioned it earlier.
We did, yes.
Um, I was the head of marketing for Cooler Master in the UK at the time.
Very
I was
cool.
like, this is really boring. I thought like selling fans is fucking boring, as it turns out. Like, let me tell you about pressure.
Building custom loops every day.
I wish I was. But no, unfortunately, the reality was I was sitting around regurgitating press releases from Taiwan half the time. So I was like, oh, I'll give this full-time writing a thing a go. So yeah, I was at WPC as a news deals person. Then I went to Dexerto as their tech ed for 2 years. And, in true, like, media style, I got laid off. So here I am, unemployed, and, you know, hopeful that things will be fine.
It's gonna be okay, man. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Like, I'm not. Yeah, I don't want to sound too arrogant, but it's like I'm not super worried about finding a job. I know that the right thing will come at the right time at some point.
I mean,
Uh,
that's literally what happened to me.
yeah, of course, yeah.
I
Oh,
was I was laid off in April. I had 5 months. By the way, fucking slayed freelance. Genuinely made so much money. Genuinely had more money than I knew what to do with in my entire life. It was great. And then it was, oh, we need stability. We need a monthly income. And that was
yeah,
where it was like, all right, I'm gonna now find a job. Happened to
yeah.
land a gig at Wikipedia, and now I'm doing games editor stuff, which I never thought I'd do. Never thought that'd be an
Are
avenue I'd
you
go
are
down.
you enjoying being a games editor?
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. I know that at this point, like maybe I play only not even a handful of games,
I
really.
play I play like 6 games a year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of where I'm at. Like,
But
I know what I like. If
yeah,
someone wants to tap me up for freelance about games, I'll do it.
hey man, you
Um,
got it. You got a fucking seat at my table whenever you want it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I
Of
really
course.
enjoyed doing that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero review for
Oh, it
you.
was a fucking great review too, man. It really was.
Oh, thank you. That is very kind of you. Like, I've reviewed a lot of Dragon Ball games. I used to be the Dynasty Warriors guy for a lot of people.
God, how
For a
did
lot.
you not just get fucking bored? Aren't they all the same?
No, they're not. God, this is what everyone gets wrong about the Dynasty Warriors franchise and the Muso franchise in general. It's like Dynasty Warriors games are fucking sick inherently. Like, have you ever actually played one of them?
Yes, I have. I played one on PS2 about 18 years ago.
Okay, right. Lu
Couldn't
Bu
te-
is a
couldn't
menace.
tell you which one.
One of the many. They have so many spin-offs at this point. But yeah, for a hot minute there, I was like a Dynasty Warriors guy, and people always got me to do their Dynasty Warriors reviews. And then I became the RPG guy, and everyone gave me their RPGs.
Okay, I've always wanted to do this. You know, you mentioned, you know what games you like, right?
Yeah.
I have been, I've been riding this train for 5 fucking years.
Hmm.
I've always wanted to say this on a podcast, and I'm gonna keep doing this in other episodes whenever anyone
Oh
brings
no.
up RPGs. I fucking hate turn-based games. Can't stand them.
That's fine. That's all right. Like,
Ah, that
you
was
gotta like what you like, you know.
that
Like, and
wasn't
if
the
you don't,
reaction I was expecting.
hang on it. If you don't like good games with a decent level of strategy on them, then that's up to you. You also don't like Dynasty Warriors. So what do you like? Horizon Zero Dawn, where
I
the game
hate.
plays for you. Honestly, like the main barometer of trust, right? If you said I love Horizon Zero Dawn, it's my favorite game ever, I would hang up this call and refuse to go on this
I was
podcast.
gonna say I don't think we'd be friends, man. But
No,
but
I don't
also,
think we would.
Okay, so quick tangent about Horizon Zero Dawn. Okay, I played it when it came out. I fucking hated it. I found it the most boring, overrated, hairy dad game that there is. Where every fucking PlayStation IP is now an over-the-shoulder, cinematic crafting game with survival elements, and it's always open world. Days Gone, Last of Us 2, Horizon. When did it all just become so homogenous and so boring? Why are they
See, I
so
track
boring?
this. I track this, right? In my beautiful long career, I've tracked this
Do tell. Do tell.
inflection point on when all these games kind of just got kind of shit. Like the triple A's specifically.
Oh
And I
god.
think it was somewhere between 2014 and 2016
I
is where
think
I
you're
think it all
right.
went wrong. Things all went wrong because I think Far Cry 3 came out at the
And was
time.
good.
Amazing game.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed 2, brilliant game.
Oh
Love
yeah.
it.
Big time.
Like, there is a time and place for those things, and that time and place was in 2010. And now we're sat here 14 years later.
Oh my god.
14 years after the blueprint for that game
Yeah.
kind of came out and was perfected in some ways by Breath of the Wild and its ilk. And then everyone keeps making the same game, Alexa.
I know. I
They just, they just keep making the same goddamn game
the worst
over and
part
over again.
the worst part is that Ubisoft like fucking Skull and Bones, right? So
Hmm.
I've never told anyone this before. Podcast exclusive.
Oh boy.
Sorry Libby Gardner. I have to tell someone. I got offered Skull and Bones coverage before the
Hmm.
game dropped, and I basically said something offhand like, "How did you guys fuck up Black Flag, the asset flip, and why did it take 14 years?" And then I
Oh,
essentially got taken off that list.
oh, oh boy.
I'm not sorry
Um,
though.
I think how I think it was Red Faction Armageddon. I was very
Oh my
early on
god.
in my career, and I was sat in front of the dev. We'd just done the preview event for the new game, so this is coming off of Red Faction Guerrilla, beautiful open world game.
Yeah,
Loads of history to talk
Gorilla
about.
was great.
And I previewed Armageddon, and then I didn't know what to expect from the game. I hadn't really looked at much, and it was set in a cave. I was like, you put Red Faction in a cave? And I asked the developer this question straight after the preview event, like during an on record interview where I forgot the dude's name. Um,
Iconic.
yeah, as I said, I was super early on in the career. I'm sorry, Mr. Man, whoever you are, wherever you are. I'm sure you're doing great now. I'm sorry that I asked you why the game was set in a cave.
What was his
Um,
answer? What did he say?
he was like, "Oh, technical challenges, the PS3." I was like, "That was on the same fucking system. I don't get it." But
Maybe the
yeah,
cell processor just demanded
yeah,
linearity. You remember Gorilla when you could destroy everything and do whatever you wanted? Now you're a mole. You
I
live
had a work
underground.
I had a work complaint once about how I was tweeting about Shadow of War, the Mordor game.
Oh yeah, yeah. Fine
Um,
game from what I remember.
Shadow of Mordor, decent, all right.
Yeah,
Shadow of War was just more of the same, really.
pretty
And I
much.
was like, you have the whole of Tolkien's legendarium before you. J.R.R. Tolkien, linguistics professor, incredible human being in his own right.
He made the Black Speech, of
He
which
made
every black metal band now pulls from.
yeah, and the funny thing about black speeches is that it's not even a complete language, right? So you only have like bits of words to kind of pull from. Um, but they called the game Middle Earth Shadow of War, and I was like, you really couldn't have come up with something better. And bless him, Mike Feathers, who now works at PlayStation, um, was like, take your tweets down about Shadow of War. We're doing something with Warner Brothers. And I was like, no, it's my personal Twitter account.
Yeah,
And
full on, man.
I've never, ever had any communication from Warner Brothers since then.
That's all it takes sometimes, man. You got to be so fucking careful these days.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you don't, I mean, I don't want to call out certain people here, but
You can
fucking
do it. You
hell,
can do whatever you want, man. You can do whatever you
you know
want.
what? All right. Pet hate about when people are reviewing games
Go on.
is the loading screen embargo.
Oh, fuck that, man.
You commonly see the loading screen embargo used by many people to discuss, I'm playing a game and you can't. And that's the whole thing.
But pretty
That's the
much.
whole tweet. And in my era, at least, it was seen as pretty poor taste to like post like promo copies or game codes or screens. And that seems to have gone away a little bit in recent years. And I
Yeah.
don't really know why. I might be old. I don't know if I like I don't know. I don't know why or what or who or why, but if that's you and you're posting the loading screen, go for it. Go for it. But I wouldn't do it.
No.
And it's because I'm cooler and better than you.
I mean, that aside, it's moreover just a part of like I probably shouldn't say this, but it's my fucking show. I'm gonna say whatever I want. And if you don't like it, go on the internet and complain. I kind of understand why content creators fucking hate games journalists.
Yeah, exactly.
A
It's for shit
hundred
like that.
percent. For shit like that. And and again, I probably shouldn't say this, but again, my show, who cares? There's a lot of entitlement in editorial.
Oh yeah.
There's a hell of a lot of entitlement. There's a lot of people that think they have a righteous opinion, that they have ownership. There's a lot of egotism where there shouldn't really be. And to be completely blunt, as someone who has been managing a lot of freelancers, wildly varying degrees of copy and competency and work ethic, sometimes it's probably not deserved.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think a part of that's kind of how things have gone. Like I said, over the last 10 years or so. Like, when I started writing, I was just writing like blogs for like publications that weren't, that was just other people who just liked games, right?
Yeah, totally.
And at that point, we were just in for it. We were just really buzzed to be getting codes in and writing reviews and things like that. And that's enthusiast press. And kind of what's happened over the last like decade or so is that a lot of these enthusiast level sites or places have become actual outlets.
Yes.
So and those enthusiast sites have disappeared in place of these like somewhat smaller, somewhat newer outlets. And the thing that it doesn't teach people when your first job writing is to write a game review is like how to treat, how to behave really, or
Yeah.
what things to do or not do. It's like if you get sent onto a press trip, don't just write like a glowing review of the game after
Of
things like that. I
course.
don't want to perpetuate conspiracy theories, but there's like a palliness that a lot of press have with marketing, and that's fine in some cases as long as you keep it professional.
In
I think the
some
issue is when
cases.
you become a professional mouthpiece for a PR, which I'm not going to name names publicly, but there are a lot of people like that who are just a glorified mouthpiece for a PR, and
Again,
PR for them.
I also will not name and shame for obvious reasons, but there are a lot of outlets and a lot of journalists that I know. Any game that comes out from a certain developer or publisher, it's a celebratory fanfare, regardless of if it
Oh, like
lines up.
Sony and Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wholesale. I
Yeah.
mean, arguably Ubisoft would have been 5 years ago. There are even still people up to the nines with Bethesda, regardless of what the
God.
quality of the content's like.
Yeah. There are. That's kind of how it is, and that's the way things have gone. And like the way for actual criticism to like continue existing is to challenge, in places to think, okay, what is X thing or Y thing or Z thing doing really well? How is it compared to other games of its series or franchise, or like how does it defy your expectations? And I think those are things that make people want to read your review over other people's. Like if you say, yeah, graphics are good, sounds good, gameplay's good, 10 out of 10, mate.
Sure.
Like you're not going to get very far. And it's it's interesting to see how many people still like have that almost, I wouldn't call it like surface level, but like really base understanding of what makes a game entertaining. You know?
I think it's as well as that, it's the fact that a lot of people don't have critical thought nowadays. And
Yeah.
I expect it's kind of like the herd mentality, which comes about with the kind of onerous of reviewing a product for a publication. If you go on a big name, there are certain relationships in place. You don't want to damage, at least the company doesn't want to damage its reputation with certain PRs, manufacturers of its hardware, what have you. There's a certain level of give and take to where
Mm,
you can't always necessarily trust the person, whether they mean to or not. Sometimes your hands can be tied. Famously,
yeah.
my hands are never tied. I'll give bad reviews. I'll give 1 star, 2 star. I'll slate shit. I'll go to press events, hold devices in my hand, and be like, hey, this kind of sucks, to their face. When I do my write up, hey, MSI Claw, kinda mid, bro, kinda mid.
MSI Claw. Oh my god.
I
I
mean,
traveled
hell.
2.5 hours down to play with that thing. And I used it for 15 minutes and I was like, this sucks. And then
Yep.
went home and spent 2.5 hours on a train just being like, that sucked. This whole thing sucks.
Yeah.
Um, but no, the thing is about like, it's media literacy at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
And I think what is really important about media literacy is to consume things that you're not comfortable with, right? Whether that be a challenging book, an album, a film. And there's always one book that I really, really recommend to anyone who wants to get into this side of things is The Ways of Seeing by John Berger. And it's basically a book where he goes over paintings and breaks them down in really interesting and insightful ways, and relates things to being in context and etc etc etc, which is why like when you see like people on social media being like, why are games so political, it's like, yeah, well, you exist in a society, right? Like, that society has things and forces acting upon it. It's like how the whole Last of Us 2 thing is just a very small veneer for Neil Druckmann to give us his opinions on Israel and Palestine. Like it it's it's people can't see beyond what they're being presented with,
No.
and that's the issue. I didn't have that issue when I was playing Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero, or Dragon Ball Sparking Zero as it's normally called, because it is a game about Goku fucking up other guys. And as a person with all this lovely media literacy knowledge experience, sometimes what you need is a game that is a good at a singular thing.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And that is what I really appreciate now, is like, this game is good at this one single thing. And the one single thing for Sparking Zero is if you're a fan of the 3D brawlers, um there and Dragon Ball, then like this is your wet dream, basically.
If you grew up playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai, this will be a game you'll enjoy. Is that what you're saying?
Budokai Tenkaichi specifically, because I also grew up with Budokai, and that's a 2D fighter. It's very different fighter.
Oh,
You
okay.
have to be very specific here, like, please. Um,
Forgive my
because
ignorance.
the Budokai Tenkaichi in Japan was called Dragon Ball Sparking. So Sparking Zero
I
is now
see. That's
Japanese name.
clever.
Yeah. I touched on it on my review, but like I think my favorite like 3D arena fighter is Gundam Extreme Versus. Um, like you're a competitive fighting game player, you know how it goes, and a lot of
Yes.
3D fighters don't have that source.
No.
You know what I mean? Where it's like mechanics and cancels and frame data and counter picks and things like that. Um, Sparking Zero doesn't really have that. Like you'll get most of the way, like technically and skill wise, quite easily. Like there's 3 or 4 different rock paper scissors counters that you can do, and that's about as technical as it gets, right? Whereas in Gundam, it's cost based. So it's a 2v2 arena brawler where you and someone else go against another person. Someone else's. There's a whole thing. You have a cost meter, and the machine that you pick or the character that you pick costs a certain amount, and when you're out of points, you lose. So it becomes all about like a fine balancing act and learning which characters complement other characters. Like is one support, or one goes in, or one goes aggressive, one lays back and has loads of covering fire. There's really interesting things about movement. There is the rainbow cancel, which is you attack twice using melee, and then mid attack you press boost and like strafe at the same time, and a little rainbow color appears, and it takes a bit of your boost meter, but it's a combo extension.
That sounds
Um,
sick.
and then there's another which is like the butterfly step, which it's called, where you learn how to like fall properly, um, while making optimized use of your boost meter. And the only real game that I think has ever used any of these things is Armored Core 6. um, like I'm a big Armored Core fan as well, usually the older ones, but you know there is some source there that just isn't there in Sparking Zero. And while it's good and a lot of fun, it's not the pinnacle. If you know what I mean.
Do you think they kind of went in wanting to make like a deep, complex game, or do you think it was more so, let's make the equivalent of action figures smacking each other?
I think there's a time and place for everything, right?
Sure.
And not everything needs to be that, right? Um, so when it comes to that, like, and considering the big wide net that Dragon Ball has, right? This game's going to be massive. It's going to send tens of millions easy, anyway, and you don't want to put people off, and that's why they made it how they made it. It's
I mean, you
pretty
have
simple.
the sort of like
So,
the mass appeal of Dragon Ball, because you could argue it's bigger now than it's ever been, right?
um, yeah, yeah, definitely so. I
Maybe to the
mean,
extent of like the fact that you can go onto like Crunchyroll or the Pirate
yeah,
Bay and
the
binge all
fact
of
that
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball Super is all on BBC iPlayer blows my mind.
That's
Um,
fucking insane. I didn't know that.
yeah, that's a fun fact
Is
for
that
you.
any good?
Yeah. Um, the movie I recommend if you're interested in if you've watched Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Kai or whatever, and you want to get into Super, you watch the Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, and then start Super midway through at the Goku Black arc. That is my recommendation.
So skip all the
Because
filler bullshit.
yeah, basically the Super series also retreads those 2 movies just a lot longer and with worse animation, essentially.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, it does get good towards the really really good towards the end, in the Tournament of Power arc. But up until then, like I didn't really love the whole Goku Black stuff. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. If you're like a Dragon Ball sicko like me, then you'll want to watch every episode of everything anyway. So, or probably already have done it. So, for the casual fan, I'd say watch the movies. Unmissable film is Dragon Ball Super Broly. Uh, Visual feast, that one is. And a bunch of staff who animated that movie, which, go look at a trailer, skim through it. It looks incredible, right? A bunch of staff, who animated that went on to do uh, the One Piece Wano arc, which looks equally amazing. Um, and then they've basically brought all their best animators back for a series called Dragon Ball Daima, which started this week. Which episode 1 was a lot of exposition, but hey ho, it looked great. So
We're
I'm very
building up
excited.
to the good shit.
Yeah. Goku got turned into a kid. Crazy, am I right? Um, but yeah, no. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Dragon Ball. I think probably my favorite game to come out this year, though. It has to be Dragon's Dogma 2. I was a big Dragon's Dogma 1 fan. Have you ever played it before?
I've played Dark Arisen on 360.
How did you find it? Did you enjoy it? It's okay to say no.
I liked the mechanic. I didn't finish it. I played.
Hmm.
I want to say like 7, 8 hours of it. I liked what it did with the kind of large scale battles. I liked the AI NPCs, but
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you much other than that, to be honest.
Well, I think the thing that excites me most about games is when they place like friction on the player, when they put a lot of trust in the player to like figure stuff out. I think that's kind of emblematic of where my taste is at the minute, which
Well,
is
play
like I just want them to put a lot of trust in me and to understand what I'm doing and follow threads and be cool with it.
wholesale. I mean, that's why like player agency for me is so important. Like, if you
Yeah,
ask me what my favorite games are, they're immersive sims. You know, I
Im
mean,
Sims, like Dishonored and Deus Ex and the like.
you can go back even further. I mean, Thief the Dog Project as well. You know,
Hmm.
Thief 2, The
I
Metal Age, arguably better.
I'm not super on Im Sims. I really like them. I've played the OG Deus Ex with mods a long time ago.
You ever play Human Revolution? That was a good one.
Yeah, except for the whole mechanical apartheid stuff, that was kind of dumb. Uh,
Ah, that's Mankind Divided. That's the one after.
right, okay. Human Revolution was okay. I enjoy the piss filter, unlike a lot of people.
I was
Um,
upset when they got rid of the piss filter.
yeah, me too. Like that game looked like I think the first one was like a technical renaissance kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Um,
100%.
and I still have the Human Revolution soundtrack on my playlist for when I'm working because that game is it's kind of dripping in style. Like, whatever you think about it, it is dripping.
Oh yeah,
I remember
totally.
the day that Human Revolution code came in, and it was the same day that I played Dark Souls for the first time. Um,
2011 was a banger year for games.
it was, it really was, it was.
Just hits upon hit. It was nearly a 2007 year, genuinely, when I look back.
2011, 2000. I like 2015 a lot in games.
15 was
And
good, 17 was good, and
17 was good. I
I don't think
don't
we've
think we
had a
had.
year as good as that since.
No, no, absolutely not.
But
Nothing like 17.
I think 2015, I think about the Phantom Pain.
I think about Phantom Pain. I think about Witcher 3. I
Hmm.
think about Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is another kind of one of my golden games. So like Dragon's Dogma is a game that puts a lot of trust in a player basically, and it it basically runs with stuff, and you're not expected. You're expected to piece it all together in your head. And some people say that's inaccessible. I agree to a degree, um, but also, you know, if you get a riddle, you should solve it and not use Google to solve it. Is my
Yeah,
opinion on how to play those games. Um, Xenoblade X from 2015 is another one of those, and Phantom Pain is too. And it's because it gives you so much. I think using Phantom Pain as an example, right? It's like here are these big open world maps. You've got a mission to do. Here are a bunch of toys. Go do it in the most creative way possible.
that's what I love
Also,
about Phantom Pain.
and everything seems to be really interactable and responsive. Like they respond to you as well. But equally, if you had taken this is what I think is like a mark of real sheer quality in a game. It's like, can you be taken out of the game, and will it still make sense?
That's clever.
Right? And Xenoblade Chronicles X does this beautifully. Like I think it's still one of the most stunning open worlds I've ever played. Um, because you know the kind of elevator pitch of the game is you get stuck on a different planet, um, and you have to survive, right? So it becomes about mastering the land around you in all these different beautiful areas and getting resources and building your bases up and slowly unlocking. But this is also told through how the game deals with traversal.
With the
So
mechs, right? But you don't get the mechs until about what, 10 hours in, something like that.
10 hours. Um, so you walk up until about 70 hours in. And then before you get them, the game doesn't give you the mech. The game makes you pass a license exam for the mech,
Oh,
which
for
is a series
fuck's
of
sake.
8 missions, where you have to prove that you are the master of your surroundings. That means finding the rarest items in the most hard to reach areas, and going on a proper odyssey without the mech around the world. And once you've done that, you get the mech. Caveat: the mech can't fly.
For fuck's sake.
It's only until about hour 80 or 90 that you get the flying mech. And then the flying mech lets you, jump around and, visit all these little islands which are floating in the air. And that is when you are now the master at that point. It's not given to you 10 hours in.
You have to
It's
earn
not.
that shit.
You have to earn it with what you know and what you've learned. And that is fucking peak.
Yeah,
You'll
there
never
aren't
change my
many
mind about that.
games. There aren't many games that would basically withhold the
The thing on the box.
yeah, literally be like, oh, you want this cream egg, huh? You gotta crawl through broken glass to get it, and only then you can have the wrap.
This is what grinds my gears in the whole Dragon's Dogma 2. You can't teleport thing. Yes, there is no teleporting in Dragon's Dogma. Teleporting in Dragon's Dogma would not make sense within the rules that they have created within that world.
You mean fast
Um,
travel?
hang on, teleporting.
Okay.
Because you can teleport with very expensive items. And then fast travel is available in the game. It's just done in like a diegetic way, and it makes sense within the game, right? So if you want to get from place A to place B, you have to pay a guy 100 gold and get on a minecart and either wait for half an hour in real time or skip and press start, and then you'll be at the place. But along that route, you might be attacked. Because
Just
that makes sense.
yeah,
Because there are
yeah.
monsters roaming around. It goes back to the thing where if I was taken out of the game, would all of this make sense still? Right? And yeah, that makes sense. Faster travel is available. Teleporting, which is what a lot of people mean when they say fast travel, comes at a privilege because there is, it's set in the rules of the law that this is a very rare and like skill to have, or a rare thing to do, or a rare thing to find. So in that way, I really respect like creative decisions like that when I see it in games, and to contrast it against how this conversation started, which was Horizon Zero Dawn, right? It's just so stark, right?
Totally.
Um, so
Like
it's just
I think
about
that's
friction, beautiful friction, and
I think
systems.
I think that's like it's Horizon Zero Dawn's biggest problem is to me it feels like it's designed by fucking committee. That's why I can't get behind it. It doesn't look like a game that a group of people who are passionate about a world and had an idea who came together to create this encompassing story. It looks like a bunch of guys at Sony knocked on Guerrilla Games' door and said, "Hey, is that Colonel Raddick? Is that Killzone? We're not doing Killzone anymore. Get Killzone out of here. Drag it back behind the bullshit and shoot it. You're an open world developer now." And they just kind of went, "Okay."
You see, I respect the people, the artists who put in the work.
Oh yeah, no,
To,
100%.
right? Like, but I agree with you that it, like, if Horizon Zero Dawn was Sony's answer to like something like Monster Hunter, and it had similar mechanics in, which it does to a degree, um, but it doesn't have the bollocks to commit to it,
No, it doesn't.
and that's my main thing. Is like it doesn't commit to an idea. A game that commits to something, say, like I gave you that example with Dragon's Dogma 2, a game that commits to something, just I respect it a lot more. Even if it's a whatever it might be, like a base builder or something like that. My wife's just started playing Final Fantasy 11,
Is it good?
and that is a game that I will never play in my life. But good
Why?
God, does it look cool? 'Cause I don't have the time to spend on a. I do have. I do. That's a complete lie. Right now, I do absolutely have the time to get into Final Fantasy 11. However, if I wanted to do it proper justice and be like, I'm going to be a guy who gets really into Final Fantasy 11 and talks about it, like that is an investment I just don't have right
You'll
now.
never be
Like,
seen again.
yeah, exactly. I might just not be a person anymore. But that's another game that does really interesting things. Like, so she got the game playing a free trial for a while, and then she was like, "I'm going to get a chocobo, so I need to buy the game." and that was a week ago. This week, she is still on the way to earning herself that chocobo. The last update I had is that the chocobo is incubating.
Oh no.
Right. And it is like cool systemic frictional stuff like that. It really gets me going. Like, have you played Nier Automata?
I've played it. As in,
Have you?
I've literally like
Okay.
been handed a
Yeah.
controller and said play this, but I haven't.
Okay.
I own it. I've not booted up myself, no, but I have technically
Okay.
played it.
Oh, yeah. It's a good game. It's a really good game. Like, I won't reveal my sources, but um, I was a big fan of the original Nier. Um,
You were some of
like
the only people that like the original Nier, wasn't it? Like lambasted at release.
it was like me and like 3 or 4 other people on Twitter
Yeah,
at
it
the
was a
time.
very niche thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a big fan of the original Nier, so I actually had a full article prepared for when Nier 2 got announced at E3 that year. Um, like when the moment someone said to me, "Hey, Nier 2 is going to be announced. It's being developed by Platinum Games," I was like, "Are you fucking? Is that real?" Well, I wrote something completely ahead of time, and I pitched it. Eventually, got published on Playboy, of all places. Um,
Hero.
and I was like, "This is why you need to carry out this game," and it breaks down all the interesting things that Nier did, like as a game, um, which also turned out to be true for Nier Automata. Um, which I won't say because you've not played them. So I'm
I
sure,
will get around to it soon, I promise.
but they're really cool and interesting, and it seems like people like an audience is now much more receptive to these kinds of games now because we've gone through the dark patch, or we're still in the dark patch with a lot of AAA. So a developer can risk doing something different that will make them stand out.
It kind
Uh,
of it kind of ties into what we're seeing now where I don't know if you've heard about Lollipop Chainsaw recently got remastered.
I did, but I haven't had the time to look at
And
any of that.
they're doing Shadows of the Damned at the end of this month.
Oh wow, Shadows of the Damned.
I know. They're finally giving Suda51 his flowers.
The big boner is gonna come back.
Taste
Uh,
my big boner.
I own both of those games. I have a big pile of games that I have from like the PS3 era. I sold a bunch of games that I got on PC, and I said these are the PS3 games that I'll keep forever because they all do something interesting. It's like Lollipop Chainsaw, Shadows of the Damned, Vanquish, Bayonetta. They didn't get none of these had PC ports at the time.
No, they fucking didn't.
Valkyria Chronicles, Nier, Tokyo Jungle. I got a physical copy of Tokyo Jungle.
That must be
Uh,
expensive nowadays.
Yeah, it's the Japanese release, and that was a general release in Japan, so it's not in English. Um, 3D Dot Game Heroes, like there was a real like creative bit that generation went through, and it's fun to see. Like, okay, this might have an audience again. I think El Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron, another one of those games that I think is fucking amazing. Like Jason Isaacs is in that game.
Really?
Yeah, he plays like this twink.
Ooh.
Um, and he's like, I'm gonna show you God and all this stuff. And the game, like in its opening screen, it's like, yeah, this will take you about 8 hours. And I was like, oh my god, this fucking rules. Um, and you play as a fallen angel, um, making your way through like biblically accurate uh heaven and hell is the best way to describe it. And one boss is like this breakdancing guy, and it's from a fixed perspective, and he just gets in front of your screen and starts breakdancing in front of you. It's incredible game, visually stunning. Made me cry the first time I looked at it.
Biblically
Uh,
accurate Dante's Inferno.
it's basically, basically, um, combat is whatever, but it's on my list of those games that do something really fun and creative that you should always play once. And unfortunately, because I have developed this taste, it means that I'm just not interested in a lot of games that come out. Um,
I feel that.
you know, I think one of my biggest passions is Monster Hunter. No, absolutely, I'm a bitch for Monster Hunter.
You
Like
looking
I
forward to
will.
Wilds?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think my first Monster Hunter game was 3 Ultimate. um, on
The
the Wii U.
yeah.
It was also on 3DS and a bunch of other places. It was Try on Wii, but 3 Ultimate was the one I picked up. And my friend's Andy Hamilton. You should follow him on Twitter if you don't. At Andy Hero. He said, "Siam, you will enjoy this. Buy a Wii U and buy this game and play with us." And this was the same year that the PS4 came out. And I was going to buy a PS4, and then the launch schedule was not there. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll buy a Wii U, I'll buy Monster Hunter 3, and it changed my entire fucking world. Like,
I think you're the
really,
only person who bought a Wii U and had their life changed.
I just talked to you about Xenoblade Chronicles X, didn't I? That is a
You
game that is
did.
not on any other platform.
Thing is, I bought a Wii U at release.
Hmm.
I like the console genuinely. Like, I was excited to play Xenoblade X.
Yeah.
Didn't end up getting it, but
Oh.
I honest to God, I had the Wii U and I enjoyed it. And there's videos from like 12 years ago, long lost to time, where I was playing through some of the launch stuff.
Hmm.
Good time. But I feel
Um.
like Nintendo just obviously didn't push it to a point where they had. I feel in a very similar way with the Wii U as I do the Vita, in that they
Yeah.
had amazing games on those systems that were not pushed, not marketed well, and not given a general enough release to have been appreciated.
Yeah. Like Devil's Third. Um.
No, not that one.
No, not that one.
Get
Tomonobu
out.
Itagaki, what are you doing?
Ah,
Um.
fucking hell.
Yeah. No, the Wii U, and by extension the Vita. I think
The
just
dark
there was
times.
there's just didn't have an install base
No.
really. Um, but as a consequence of being a person who owned the Wii U, I've also been playing
Brackets
Mario Kart
derogatory.
8 for 10 years,
God, it
and
has been 10 years.
bonkers that I'm still playing Mario Kart 8. Like when we have friends around, they're like, "Shall we play Mario Kart on the Switch?" I was like, I, I had my fill of this game a long time ago.
Yeah.
Um, but there's also others. I think what was it? Was Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time on Wii U? Am I thinking of?
It
Am I
sounds like it
thinking
could have
of?
been.
Maybe
I,
it was on Wii U.
I can't
It
remember
wasn't
which of the
mine.
17 games came to Wii U.
Um, but no, big. I love the Wii U. Great. It was so fun. I bought the expanded battery for it and everything.
I didn't
Uh,
even know that was even a thing until just now.
yeah, you could crack open the controller, and Nintendo sold like a battery pack that was like twice the size of the original one. Like
So
the
you could
original
get
one,
3 hours instead of 1.5.
exactly, and that's exactly what I did, because Monster Hunter 3 took over my life for a little bit, and
I've
by the
just re-
time, which meant go for it.
I've just realized the reason why I went cold on the Wii U.
Oh no, go for
I was playing Zombie U in 2013,
it.
and it had a mechanic where you had to physically look down at the gamepad to ruffle through the backpack. So you were vulnerable to attack from behind, right?
Yeah.
And I got jump scared while looking at the backpack, because they drag you up and like jump in your face.
Hmm.
And I dropped the Wii U gamepad from like waist height on
Oh
carpet, and the
no.
fucking screen broke, and I never
Oh,
repaired it.
that is heartbreaking. That is That is a testament to the creativity of the dual screen Wii U.
And you know what made it worse? That when they ported Zombie, it became just Zombie without the U to fucking PC, PS4, whatever. They got rid of that feature completely. The backpack is just a static menu now. I could have saved my controller.
Oh, there was a Kotaku piece that I did when the Wii U died, and the headline was "Farewell, then we barely knew you."
Clever.
Yeah, as a 2016, that was the deal. That console did not last long. Holy
No.
shit.
Nintendo were
Um,
like, hey, we got this Nvidia Shield just hanging around. Well, if you buy right now, I'll throw in 200 million of these aging Tegra X1 chips Do whatever you want with them. And
And
then
here we
they
are in 2024, Mario Brothership coming out next week
gonna run at
on
14 FPS.
a 12-year-old smartphone.
Run it on
It's
Ryujinx, kids. Oh wait, they got rid of that.
um, and the other one,
Run it on Yuzu, kids. Oh wait, that's gone too.
mm, like I think I'm ready. I'm ready for the Switch 2. I want to know what that thing is.
My
Well,
body
we all
has
know.
been
We know what it is. I just want to see the games at this point. It's like
the
maybe.
fact that I know people that have physically seen it. I know it exists.
Yeah. It's like when all that Gamescom stuff came out last year, I was like, okay, like Matrix Awakens and everything like that. Like there are certain things that I can't say
Of
about
course.
Switch 2 here, but yeah, I just want to just reveal it. Just show me some games. I'm really excited to see the games. I don't really care about the hardware. Even if it ends up being just a big Switch
Yeah.
or a dual screen Switch, whatever it might be, just show it to me and give me some actually good new flagship Nintendo games to play.
Well, that's it. That has to be the core, right? They've been holding off for this long to have the most killer launch lineup in history. Has to be.
Yeah.
Here's
Mhm.
fucking Metroid Prime 4. Here's a new 3D Mario game. Here's a new Mario Kart. Here's a fucking Zelda game you weren't expecting. Pikmin 5. You know, the ball has to be in their court at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like they've been holding on us for a while.
They've been printing
Um,
money off of this outdated fucking smartphone that barely runs games for 7 goddamn years.
so about mm, 2, 3 years ago now, I always buy day one hardware because it is the one that is most susceptible to be hacked.
Of
Um,
course.
even especially portable hardware. Um,
Anyone got a paperclip?
yeah, so I got myself a little jig and busted the switch open, got like my custom firmware that runs on a separate SD card, all that shit, and put a load of stuff on it as you do, that I of course own. It might be on Switch, it might be on other places, but I definitely can play on Switch now. Um, and I did all that. I enjoyed it for about a week, and now I've not played my Switch in donkeys. And because of that, because it turned off, I now have to like reflash the whole last thing.
Oh god.
Um,
I had a similar story actually. Back in the 3DS days.
oh
Right
yeah, 3DS is easy to crack as well. Bloody hell.
this was right before it became like dirt cheap, super easy to do.
Yeah,
There was this hacker that lived basically like an hour away, and it literally meant I forget where, but I got on a bus, a series of buses. I dropped it through the letterbox. I sat in a bar for 3 hours. I came out, and when I opened the 3DS again, I had basically a homebrew shop that looked just like the eShop, and you'd click on it,
yeah.
and every game you could want, you could just load.
So that is also what I did with my 3DS. Um,
Yeah,
because I bought a new 3DS when it came out
I
because
believe you mean that you bought a new 3DS.
I bought a new 3DS because I had an original 3DS.
Me too. Yeah, the 2011 one.
Yeah, for when Mario 3D Land came out, I played that and then just stole it, right? And then 2014, 10 years ago to the day, almost, the new 3DS released. I was living in London at the time, within walking distance of Hamleys. Got myself off to Hamleys to see when the new 3DS would arrive. Um, because 3 days beforehand, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate came out, and it was a 3DS exclusive. And that console was just my Monster Hunter 4 machine. I didn't play anything else on it, really. I played a bit of Pokemon Sun and Moon before being like, yeah, I'm kind of over Pokemon as like a concept now. Cool.
Did you ever play Majora's Mask? That was quite good on the new 3DS.
Majora's Mask I did play on the 3DS.
Yeah. Didn't they also
That
bring Xeno like the original Xenoblade came out on new 3DS?
Yeah, but absolutely do not. It looks like Silent Hill.
Oh
Um,
no.
Yeah, it's don't play like that.
Have I got
Um,
opinions on Silent Hill for you?
I am choosing not to play the remake. That is where I'm at with Silent Hill 2.
So I won't repeat myself for anyone. I mean, everyone listening has obviously watched the first episode,
Mhm,
so I'm not going to reiterate too much. But I love the concept of Silent Hill 2.
mhm,
Love the concept of Silent Hill in general. Don't like Silent Hill 2. At least when I was a kid playing the original game, I liked
mhm.
it quite a bit. But I came to the conclusion that Silent Hill 2 on the PS2 is really fucking easy.
Yeah, it is. All you do is bash zombies with sticks.
Yeah, and the guns basically just auto aim. The story's amazing, characters great, atmosphere, music second to none. No one's disputing that. But as a game, it's not the most engaging. With the remake, I mean, Bloober Team, again, I said this last time, but Bloober Team accidentally made a really good game by mistake. In that,
Because they were forced into it.
yeah,
Someone had forced them.
they basically held at gunpoint to go, okay, we now have over the shoulder aiming, we now have like a dodge, we now have like fairly decent melee combat. The puzzles now make a bit more sense. It's a lot more modernized. And
Hmm.
I was supposed to do the review. I was supposed to do the review. I got code in. I blacked out like the Friday or the weekend, whatever it was,
Oh no.
to play it. And I just did not get fucking time. I got like
God.
6, 7 hours in. I got about halfway through and it was like I needed to tag out.
Yeah.
The life of a
Yeah, I
fucking
remember because
editor.
you asked me to review it,
I
and
did. Yeah, I did.
I was like, "Yo, I got stuff that I've got stuff to do this week.
I
I
know
cannot play
what
Silent Hill
fucking
2."
horrible luck. Genuinely,
I know. Oh my god, I have to play a game all weekend. Unbelievable.
I know, crazy.
I'm actually on. I've been turned on to Metaphor Refantasio.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
we had Lex Luddy do that one for us.
yeah. Um, I'm a fan of. I won't say Persona. I'm a fan of Shin Megami Tensei games.
Isn't
Uh,
isn't Persona the same as that?
Persona 1, 2, 3, and 4 were spin-offs, yes. Um, and by that I mean like basically the way that when I was a kid, I didn't get the new consoles straight away,
No,
right?
neither did I.
Um, I always was about like a generation behind, and that allowed me to play some pretty thick games. Considering like I was a fairly resourceful lad who knew how to mod things essentially.
Yeah, same.
Um, so I downloaded a mega pack of ISOs called Shin Megami Tensei Universe on PS2. And it was there that I played all the classics: Raido Kuzunoa versus the Dark Army, Devil Summoner, Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2, Persona 3 and 4, of course, because Persona 4 was my first Mega 10 game. Um, but, I'm much more into like that side of things. Um, and they had really cool, unique, dark atmospheres that are kind of edgy. I think that's sort of been lost by a lot of modern Atlas's output. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is good, and it does have that kind of weird, you know, vibe about it. They really do still nail the atmosphere. But personally, my favorite, game that my specific team has made was SMT Devil Saga, Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2. Which, if you've not played them and you're a fan of JRPGs, play them. Um, it's just really weird and occult stuff. And then Metaphor Refantasio comes out. I'm really looking forward to it because it's a new IP from this team who's done great work with Persona 5 and 4 and whatever else. And I was really disappointed to play the demo and see that it was like another Persona game, basically, and everything but setting, like the structure and the mechanics, are quite similar. Um, so it felt like Persona wearing different clothes during the demo.
Isn't the
But I'd
demo
already
itself like 18 hours long?
the demo itself, I think, took me about 7 or 8 hours. Yeah, it was quite long, and it serves as like an extended intro for the game. I'll tell you now that that demo does not do that game justice
I've heard
at
mixed
all.
things. But
At
then
all.
So
Like,
they approached me. They approached me for the game, like to do the
hmm
coverage on it, and it kind of goes back to what you said about Final Fantasy 11, which
hmm
is I know for a fact, even though I don't like turn-based games, everything I've seen from Persona 5 and 4 Golden, and probably 3 Reload, I know if I sat down to play them, I would really enjoy them.
hmm
But Persona 5, at least the Royal Edition, is 130 fucking hours long.
that is, Persona 5's all right. It's not my favorite Persona game,
No.
and it's too long. The base game is too long, and they made it even longer with Royal. And for specific kind of fan, good for you. You get loads of Persona to play. But for me, who already thought Persona 5 was too long, probably bad idea, a bad thing. So it's kind of unfortunate that Metaphor seems to be, in my playthrough so far, being that very, very, very slow burn.
And it's also incredibly long. I think the review was 130 hours. And that
Yeah,
wasn't that wasn't seen at all, done at all. That was rolled credits, from what I understand.
yeah, yeah. The benefit of not doing any coverage on it is because like now I know the kind of game it is. I'm playing it on Steam. Is that I can load up a trainer and be like, all right, just give me 2 times XP,
You'd
please.
have to. You fucking have to.
Um,
That's the biggest problem. I don't know if you're the same as me, but because of my time is so limited, my free time is so non-existent normally, right?
mm,
I'll go to work, I'll make dinner, I'll shower, I'll clean the house. I get maybe 2, 3 hours if I'm lucky to watch a movie, play a video game, whatever. I'm the kind of person I won't pick up a controller to play anything unless I've got on how long to beat. And I've sat there in my head, and seriously, and I've sat there in my head and I've worked out, okay, I'll play this game because it's pick up and play, or this game because it will take 8 hours, one and done. And
mm,
that's my decision process whenever I buy a game. I get given tons of games, right? I have an Epic
yeah,
Games press account.
I also have one of those.
They're great. Thank you, Alex Fong.
Thank you,
I
Alex.
I play basically everything, but I don't finish a lot of games. I drop a lot. I wish I didn't, but because my time, we spoke about this a little bit in the last week's episode. Because my time is so limited now, that a
Hmm.
game has to be good. If something doesn't grab me in like the first 3, 4 hours, I'm probably not going to see credits on it.
Yeah,
And I've kind of
yeah,
had to
no,
accept that. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I'd play everything through, right? Kind of similar to you when I was young. We were a generation behind on the console. I had a Mega Drive growing up. I had a PS1, PS2, and 64. That was my kind of era when I was a kid. We didn't kind of get next gen, PS3 until about, I think we had the original Xbox in 2005 when the 360 was already out. We didn't
hmm
kind of get 7th gen until about 2009, 2010 when it was like
yeah,
sort of halfway through. So for us, it was we could play everything, right? We had so have you ever had the original Xbox? You had the Avalanche launcher.
I did have an original Xbox, the Crystal version.
Yeah,
But it was my brother's, and he loved playing online, so I could not access it.
it was a great system, and we had a thing called the Avalanche launcher, and essentially it was like a small mod chip that you could plug in, and you'd plug in an HDD, and we had like a
Hmm.
40, 50 gig. It was huge for the time.
Gigantic,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, and it would go underneath the console. Like you'd have like a port you could plug it into, and any game that you would rent from Love Film or Blockbuster
You could just dump that shit.
or Netflix, yeah, dump that
Yeah.
shit, spin it, send it back. Similar PS2, the swap magics, same with the PS1.
Oh my god, Swap Magic.
Spin the disc backwards, and it worked every time.
Magic.
The only thing was, some games you press square to special boot, which got around any kind of protective, like when the game labels would come up,
Yeah.
they do like a what would you call it, like a red light check? I forget the exact
Hmm.
name, something like that. You'd special boot, which would supersede that. Same with PSP Pandora batteries, going back.
I made so much money.
Oh yeah,
Probably shouldn't say this. When I was
who
in school, I made
cares?
so much money. I don't know how my dad let me do it, but I had a PSP 1.5. I got PSP when it came out.
Yeah,
I traded in my my Game Boy Advance and all my games, and the majority of my GameCube games as well.
Good
Started to
trade.
get PSP, and all I got was a PSP, right? An Untold Legends Brotherhood of the Blade. I remember this very clearly. And then the firmware, which was 1.5 at the time, got hacked basically immediately.
Yeah.
So I hacked that thing to shit, and then cut open and made a Pandora battery out of my stock battery. So what that involved is that basically the battery had a small motherboard on it that was used for dev purposes, I think. And if you cut a contact on the battery, then if you clicked a certain button combo, it would boot into the debug mode. And here I was, 13 years old, opening up a battery with a knife.
Yeah. That was how it was back then.
Yeah, that still kind of blows my mind. But I used to do it. I used to charge kids 15 quid. You get yourself a. You should bring your PSP, bring a memory stick. Tell me what games you want.
You gotta be specific. Memory stick duo.
A memory stick Pro Duo.
I still remember the very last firmware on PSP was version 3.61. That was the
3.6. What? Are you sure? 'Cause
yeah.
372 is a thing.
What now?
372.
When was this?
3.72. I'm 100% certain. I had 3.72 M33 firmware on my PSP.
Okay, well,
Oh,
I
check
didn't
you
know
out.
that. No, no, no.
Yeah.
You might be right, but for me, I remember 3.61.
Yeah.
That was the golden age. That was the perfect one.
Yeah.
Because we'd
Yeah.
sideload. We used to sideload like Nesta J, the NES emulator, had Super Nintendo.
3.60 and 3.61. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely right.
yeah.
That was a slim model.
And this
Uh,
off the top of my head, fucking nearly 20 years later. But
yeah, I
my
still
God,
remember it. Back of my hand. The PSP was an incredible thing.
I've still got mine.
An MP3 player,
Yeah,
a video player.
a fucking web browser too, a proper
Look at
full-fledged web
boobies on
browser.
the internet.
Ad hoc mode for fucking Wi-Fi based online local co-op.
iPhone was a joke. The PSP was a real revolution.
PSP had a fucking GPS attachment as well, and it
Yeah.
still works. There's a video. No, seriously. There's a video online. Someone uses the PSP and the map because the way that the map system was, it was by satellite. It was broadcasting modern maps on that screen.
Oh my god.
It's genuinely the PSP was a fucking marvel. I still have it. I have my original 2005, the Gen 1, in the slipcase, the promo slipcase still to this day.
Yeah, I remember if you bought a PSP on launch, you got a free copy of Spider-Man 2 on UMD. I still own that.
UMDs, UMDs were amazing. I only ever had one because obviously, as soon as
Yeah,
I
they were
got
really expensive. Yeah.
they were, but as soon as I got what was it? I think I got it from fucking Blockbuster or Argos. I can't remember, but it was Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I
Oh
want to
yeah.
say like early 2006. So it wasn't quite launch period. It was right after. But that
Yeah.
fucking it might have been Christmas '05 even. It was very early in the lifespan. I remember that.
So, one of the UMDs that I had was I didn't have many. I had Untold Legends, Spider-Man 2 on UMD because it was free, and Untold Legends was the pack-in. I bought one more UMD, and it was GTA Liberty City Stories.
I liked Liberty City Stories for what it was.
The Liberty City Stories UMD also gave you access to a different level exploit if you're on a higher firmware.
Which
So
was?
sometimes you could just pock in Liberty City and then like interrupt it and sideload a bit of code in, and then that would give you access to the kernel, essentially.
I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, the more you know, huh?
While we're on about software-based exploits, here's a deep cut for you. Because you'll know, PS3, 2011,
Yes.
Splinter Cell HD collection, that exploit. You ever hear about that?
Um, I need to remember which exploit I did on my PS3. But I remember doing it because I kept on wiping my fucking saves.
Do you remember the PS3 jailbreak sticks?
I think I was before then. I was only a soft. I did a software exploit for PS3. Because I had a PS3 Slim, I could software exploit it, but because I think I kept it offline after I heard that PS3 handles the things. I was on the ground level, I think, for PS3 exploits.
I remember
Uh,
the ones that we did. That was the original model with the flip up because you had Linux, you had the SD card port.
yeah, I couldn't do Linux, so I had the Slim model.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I can't believe they got rid of that functionality.
yeah, it's
Even back then, Sony were price gouging motherfuckers.
oh man. But I remember at that time though, like yeah, that was like just about the time where I was just like writing for these little sites and stuff. So I'd like download like a brand new game and like review it and stuff.
The best way forward, man.
Oh man, that's that was a proper blast from the
That's
past.
unlocked some core memories in me. But I tell you, for me, that was when gaming was the most exciting. You know,
I played a lot of games on
we even had
PS4.
this exploit on 360.
Yeah, it was only until I started getting like promo games on the reg that I went completely white hat with my current consoles, like the PS3. I had to like abandon it. But 360 was another good one. The exploits were sick. I resurrected so many old bad boy fucking 360 Red Rings.
Unfortunately, we essentially killed the original Elite, the black, and the
Oh,
arcade, the white, the first HDMI. They ran
oh,
great until about 2010, 2012, and then they just kind of died.
I had maybe two or three different 360s because they're breaking all the time, right?
I still maintain it's a
So
terribly designed system.
awful, awful thing. I
Yeah.
think my least favorite console of all time is the Xbox 360.
I never bought an Xbox One because of that. I went
And
straight.
yeah,
I was gonna
yeah,
say I
same.
went. I was gonna say I went straight into PS4, but that's a lie. I went into PC gaming about 2013, 2014 with my first build. I remember my first proper build: Intel Core i7 4790K,
Oh bloody
GTX
hell!
GTX 970, 16 gigabytes DDR4 Corsair engines, 3200, and it was some shitty fucking 2 terabyte HDD and a 256 SATA, from what I remember. That was my first build.
My first build was an Intel Core 2 Duo E5200
Nice.
at 2.5 gigahertz alongside a NVIDIA GT 9400.
Solid card,
Um,
man. Solid card.
I mean, it was basically like the 1050 of the time.
Do you
Um,
remember when? Do you remember when fucking GPUs were kind of they were built with like long last, like longevity in mind? You know, like you,
yeah,
you could buy like like a genuine mid range card would cost you like £300, and
that
it would
970 I had was what 2015 that came out,
yeah
2.5 gig.
yeah
Lasted me until 2019, I
yeah
want to
no
say.
for me it's very similar. So I had the 970. I had two in SLI. Remember that? Remember when SLI was a thing?
Remember SLI? Fuck me.
Justice for SLI. But I had two in SLI, so I think it was what was it, 3.5 gigabytes on each one. So it was like
Hmm.
seven gigs of GDDR5X overall, something like that.
Yeah, this is
And
2008 that I made that build, so just so I got an idea of time here.
what a subject! Now, while I've got you,
Yeah.
you and me have met in person.
Yeah. At Damnation Festival.
We
Fuck.
did. I used to love Damnation. I went to Damnation 18. I went Damnation 19. I went Damnation 21. 22 was where I started to really not like Damnation anymore.
Okay, so I've only been to Damnation, I think
23.
22, 23.
Yeah. The problem is, so Damnation originally used to be held in Leeds. It was in the student union. It was
It was a really good venue, yeah.
it was an amazing venue because it was tight, it was linear, and because of where it was, you could leave the venue, 2 minute walk to Tesco, 5 minutes to a Weatherspoons, whatever. If you wanted to go out for a cigarette, go out for have a few beers, come back in between bands, you could totally do that. And when it moved,
Not at the BEC. You
no,
can't.
when it moved to the fucking BEC, there was I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you remember, but you couldn't even leave the fucking building until about
No.
4 or 5 p.m. You were basically trapped in, which was really not okay.
I
You
think
had
that it was someone got like with the guy I went with, my friend Sam, got food poisoning
from one of the vans, yeah, yeah.
on the vans as well.
Well, the vans were all
Uh,
disgusting. And the biggest problem with the fucking food vans, it's like because it was in, what was it, just like in Old Trafford, like a
yeah,
weird side of Manchester, you literally, even if you left the venue, you literally,
it like looks like Final Fantasy VII out there.
yeah, it was
Like,
hours, you were walking at least an hour to see any kind of civilization.
yeah. So the strategy that we deployed for that one, because we got a hotel. I used to live in around the bad bit of Salford, so I knew the area quite well. Um, the strat that we did was book a hotel at Media City, and then just cab it from there to and from Damnation. But it's just so inaccessible that it's just a bit of a bummer. Like this year,
It made it just like not, for me, like not to want to fucking go. Like, I'm not
yeah,
going this year. I went
yeah,
last year, genuinely. I went last year, but I went very, very last minute because
mhm,
Catatonia were headlining.
yeah,
That's the only fucking reason I went. Because I had tickets to Catatonia back in February 2023. It was
yeah,
their tour with, I want to say it was Solstice. I want to say Solstice
ooh,
Catatonia. And there was some other band, I forget which one. But
mm,
I missed it because I was busy dying. I was dying in the hospital, so I didn't get to see that.
oh,
Oh yeah, I had a thing called pulmonary embolism.
oh shit!
Yeah, yeah, it was a whole thing.
Holy fuck!
Yeah, dark as shit,
My
right?
my my uncle died of
Yeah.
pulmonary
Oh,
embolism.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It kills a lot of people. Well, not to get too dark, but essentially, I had blood clots in both my lungs, and
Oof.
it was blocking the right side of my heart, and
Ooh.
I was very stupid. I'm the kind of person like I have a very very high pain tolerance. So if
Uh-huh.
I get injured or I get sick, like I have like nerve damage from like a motorbike crash when I was a kid. It's a story for another day. But
Uh-huh.
I have a high pain tolerance. So my chest was giving me a bit of like shit. Oh, I'm a bit out of breath. My chest's a little bit sore. I'll sleep it off for 2 days. And I hung out with a friend of mine in town, got off the bus, and this is where I knew something was like actually probably quite wrong. I couldn't get off the bench and walk down a straight, like not a hill, but like a straight bit of road.
Oh
I
fuck.
took like 3 or 4 steps. I was like, wow, okay. All the air has gone from my lungs. This is a bit strange. We hung out for like another hour. I was like, okay, this is like fine, whatever. Um, I'll deal with this. I took the bus, like literally like right by the other bus stop. Took the bus, went the other way, and that was where it kind of got worse because I was like, okay, I'll walk up because it was like a small hill to get to my parents'
Oh
house,
no.
and bearing in mind it was like a 5 minute walk at best. Like I could see my parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't move up the hill. Every step there was no air, right? Like you couldn't. It wasn't even like you were gasping for air. Like there's no breath. There was no
Yeah.
like oxygen being made.
Yeah.
So it was just like nothing, just like pain. Like you could almost hear like a death rattle, like
Mm.
the lack of oxygen kind of rattling around the
Holy
lungs as they were
shit. So
contracting.
that was a crazy near-death experience then, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. I wrote an article about it actually.
Mm.
Yeah, because I was in the hospital for 6 days,
Mm-hmm.
and they were giving me like blood thinners. Like I'm still on blood thinners to this day actually.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta be
Yeah,
careful with it.
I'm a lifer, so I'm
Hmm.
for the rest of my life I have to take them, which sucks. But I'd rather not die.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
that is positive in and of itself.
I think
So
yeah, yeah. So yeah, basically I was on the blood thinners, and every hour, what they were doing, they had these big like intramuscular needles, jabbing them into like the stomach.
Hmm.
Very deep, very painful. Every hour on the hour, to try and like dissolve the clots.
Fuck.
Yeah, I still think of that pain sometimes. So I miss catatonia the first time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Understandable. Understandable.
do you know? Do you
The only
know?
reason I'm going this year is because Nails and Gatecreeper are playing. I want to see them. So.
Okay. So I was gonna go for Gatecreeper and 200 stab wounds,
Hmm.
but they're playing. I missed them in Bristol. I booked it too late. They were playing Bristol. I forget which fucking venue, like the Exchange or some shit like that. But they were playing Halloween night. I'm missing them.
Hmm.
Fine, it's sold out. I'm going to London the day after, November 1st. I'm seeing Gatecreeper 200 stab wounds, which in itself is a fucking addendum
Yeah.
because Bloodstock 23 fucking swapped the times that Gatecreeper and 200 stab wounds were
Oh.
supposed to play. So I roll up expecting to see fucking Gatecreeper, and I forget the name of the band. It was some fucking like rockabilly bullshit was playing instead.
um, I went to Hellfest this year. Have you
I'm
ever been to
so
Hellfest?
I'm so fucking jealous of you. No, I've never been. Never
I've been
been.
to Hellfest. This is my second Hellfest this year.
Was it good?
Um, what do you think?
I think it was fucking amazing.
It was fucking incredible.
God
It's a
damn.
goddamn. It's like a goddamn religious heavy metal experience for a
I
week, essentially.
I-
Like,
I've wanted to go. I've wanted to do the Hellfest or Wacken or Rock Am Ring, one of those, for the longest
don't
fucking
do
time.
like Wacken and Rocker and Ring. Fine, cool, yes, whatever. The difference. Okay, it's hard to explain why you should go to Hellfest over the others. And I'll tell you why.
We've got
Because
time.
Wacken and the other ones, they're not permanent installations,
How do you mean?
right? Like the festival organizer puts up the festival and takes it down. Yeah. The Hellfest site is owned by Hellfest. Yeah.
Okay.
That lets them like basically make a village. Um so the campsite itself, huge, beautiful, etc., etc. Then once you get into like the little village bit, it's like someone's recreated Camden, basically.
That's
Uh,
fucking amazing. Wow.
and then you go in through the gates of hell, which is like a little gothic arches, but you see it in all the promo videos and stuff. That's like the gate into the festival itself. They have like cyberpunk bars and stuff like that that you can go into with like multi-story buildings and things like that with various things that you can do and see. A separate merch hall for merchants, and inside the festival itself, everything is so well considered from each of the stages, their distance from one another, the installations like the gigantic statues of Limmy. They had a metallic structure whose only purpose was to spray mist inside it. So while you're hot, you're just being sprayed with mist. Again, bars within 5 minutes wherever you are, like pisses and toilets everywhere. Like no one pisses on the side of like anything at Hellfest,
Wow.
right? Um, it's just different. It is so different from any other festival that I've ever been to.
I need to
Um,
do it, man. I'm serious. I need to do it.
the
I
stages work in such a way that like there's always something sick on. There's so many stages and there's so many acts and so many artists. There's always something good, and to get from one stage to another doesn't take 40 years.
thank God for that.
You know,
Because
yeah,
I think I'm kind of done with UK festivals now. And I'll tell
yeah.
you, some of it is my own decision. Others is the fact that I was not given a fucking choice. Okay. Here's the thing. I've been going to download for 10 years, right?
Why?
I know everyone says that. It's like
Why?
what? I know.
I did download it once.
I did. Okay, so it's not for
I was like,
me.
I ain't doing that again.
It's not for me. So my parents are big on download. All right.
Okay, fair play then.
So I did download 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 22. That was the last one I did. because they didn't
Did
run 2020, and 2021 was at the pilot. It was only like a few UK
yeah,
bands, some shit like that. But I didn't go 23, and I kind of wish I did because that would have been like the Metallica year, whatever. Who
yeah.
cares? But I don't think I'll ever go back to download now. Not only is it ridiculously expensive, the lineup not for me. I mean, obviously I'm
The
into.
lineup I saw last night, this year's lineup, and I was like, "Are you
I
actually
know,
joking?"
I know.
Like,
And honestly, I feel like Bloodstock has kind of definitely changed in the 9 years I've been doing it. So I did Bloodstock 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24.
mhm.
And I'm not doing Bloodstock 25, not for my own sake, but for the fact that it fucking sold out. It's the only Bloodstock to ever sell out. Not only did it sell out, it sold out within about 3 months of the other one, which is
Oh god,
unprecedented completely because Gojira Machine Head
that's all
Trivium.
you need.
That's all you
That's all
fucking
you
need.
need.
So
That's all you need.
we're doing a Euro festival now. We're doing Brutal Assault in Czechia
You're
instead.
doing brutal assault.
Yeah,
Okay,
Gojira
that's
headlining. It takes place in a big fortress. It cost 140 quid for 5 days and hotel, included apparently up to two people. And it cost about 10 quid to get there on a train from Prague. So we're doing it.
got Pig Destroyer there. Go see Pig Destroyer for
I seen Pig Destroyer, man.
Ministry.
Oh, well, I could take or leave that, to be honest. I,
um,
I don't think we've ever discussed our favorite bands.
I don't think we have, and I think we've got very different tastes.
Okay, well, give me some of yours. I'll give you some of mine.
I'll give you a bit of history. I don't
Okay.
know how long we've got.
Hey,
Um,
we can keep going, man. It's all good.
I'm good to keep going if you are. So I'll give you a bit of history. So before my dad moved to England, he used to run a record shop over in Bangladesh, and he was super into 70s rock. So White Snake, Deep Purple, that lot. Um, I got into music about 2004, 2005. I want to say a very sheltered kid growing up, very religious household and all that. So the first time I listened to heavy metal, my cock was firmly blown off. Um, um, so yeah, I think the first band I really enjoyed, and this heavy metal thing was him of all things.
Yeah, so my
Um,
one of my friends and old bandmates has a him tattoo. He has like the
wow,
the, the heart
an
around,
autogram,
yeah,
yeah,
the heartogram around his I think it's around his chest, like around one of his nipples. It looks really
yeah.
cool, actually.
It's pretty cool, yeah. Like the hologram is pretty sick. And basically around that time where I was getting to like him and Trivium, Ember 2 Inferno came out, and I got that on
Do
my
love a bit
phone.
of trivia.
Yeah, Ember 2 Inferno, Enter Shikari, listening to all those bands. Then at a certain point,
Yeah.
my dad, he had the talk with me, but it wasn't about the birds or the bees. It was about listening to good music.
Oh,
And he gave me a box of CDs. Dio, Holy Diver,
oh, what
Rainbow,
a fucking
Rising,
record.
Wishbone, Ash, Argus, um, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, King Crimson, all the hits, basically.
The real
Um,
the heavy stuff from the 70s,
the heavy stuff.
early 80s.
The 70s, early 80s. So I listened to all that, have a very big fondness for it. And then, as I grew up in my teenage years, I got really into like power metal, like Tirithas at the time, of course, you can forget. Dragon Force, Blind Guardian.
Oh, classic.
Um, yeah, so that, yeah, but the kind of friends I was hanging out with didn't like any of that stuff really. Um, so my metal nature was suppressed for several years until like I went back to like I think it's around 2012 at this time, and I'm like, I've got to learn. I've got to learn what I like because I like power metal and I like prog, basically. That was where I was at, and I went on this odyssey, basically charting um like bands and their influences that I liked and just trace them forward and back all over
Smart.
for like years basically. And I've ended up now at a point where I can firmly say like I really like atmospheric black metal.
That's my
I really like
language.
um, I really like Alcest as well.
Yeah, I've seen Alcest a couple times.
Alcest. I really like. One thing that I caught onto when I was going through this is that I caught the wave of like new traditional heavy metal, which I really, 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 really enjoy. So like In Solitude when they were still a thing before they broke up because of Ghost. Um, Visigoth, Eternal Champion, um, things like that. But I also got really into Doom and like Mastodon and Red Fang at the time. That was kind of the era I'm talking about. And then I was there when Paul Bearer put their first record out, and I will forever remember the moment that I got into doom metal. Um, so Paul Bearer, Electric Wizard, you know,
I love Electric Wizard.
big, big, big fans of that. But at this point, I listen to a bit of everything. I have a very deep fondness in my heart, however, for a band called Atlantean Codex. If I was to give you one band that I really like, that is Atlantean Codex. Atlantean Codex are imagine a mix between Manowar and Paul Bearer.
It sounds sick.
Uh, yeah, essentially, that's what it is. They're this German epic doom metal band, um, and they're just incredible. I don't know how to say it. Like, it must have been the White Goddess album was the first one I heard, which was back like 2016, 17ish. Um, Absolutely love them to pieces. Um, as just big soundscapes, and they do this thing right where there'll be like big doomy epic choruses, and then it'll go really quiet. You'll hear some wind in the background or like the crackling of a bush, and then it will be a guy playing like three notes of clean guitar, and it is like the fucking heaviest thing I've ever heard. And it doesn't sound like it, but you have to be in the mood. You have to be in it. And if you're in it and you hear those three notes, you're like, fucking hell. But of course, it doesn't sound like fucking speed or black metal. It doesn't sound like anything else. And that's, you know, what I really like. The other band that I really like is Visigoth. Um, they were a big one for me in terms of like shaping the last 10 years of what I've been listening to. So they did an album called The Revenant King, um, which was a very Manila Road inspired. Um, the album's far too long, but they have these big bellowing choruses, which is really nice. And it's a bit more like if you've ever heard Manila Road, which is like a US power metal
Yeah,
band.
yeah, I'm a little bit familiar. I've heard a few songs.
Mark Shelton is a complete genius, in my opinion. Um, uh, Listen to the Veils of Negative Existence, please. Um, and then so it's very inspired by that and like Iron Maiden basically, and I just really enjoyed their songs, and I was like, oh my god, I'm vibing with this band so hard. And then like 4 years later they come out with like a Dark Souls EP, and I was like, Jesus Christ, okay, they really are. And I've met them a couple of times. Jake the singer, at one of his shows, he looked at my shirt and was like, who did that? And I told him the artist, and then that was the artist that illustrated the cover for the Dark Souls EP.
That's sick as fuck.
So yeah, so that was a fun thing. But yeah, a lot of power metal, epic doom. I have more of a tolerance for a lot of the other stuff. I listen to a bit of everything, but if I was to like hand on heart say what is your favorite band, I'd say Atlantean Codex and Visigoth, 100%.
Hey, they'll be in the show notes, man. So everyone listening has no excuse to check them out.
Yeah. What about you? Because I can
Oh, it's
tell.
a long story.
I don't think I've ever said my music tastes out loud in such an organized manner before.
I'll
Um,
try and match your energy. Don't worry.
yeah,
So
go
for
for it.
me, my kind of tastes in kind of rock and metal, kind of similar to you a little bit. My mum, big rock kid in the 70s and 80s.
Hmm.
Huge on like Whitesnake, Saxon, Magnum,
Uriah Heep.
probably, like
Yeah.
fucking Bon Jovi. Uh, Wayward Sons. God, that kind of era,
Jethro
and
Tull. Yeah.
Def Leppard as well. That kind of stuff. Alice Cooper, you name it.
Hmm.
And as I was growing up, and I was listening to like this kind of like White Snake, what have you, and it was about I was like 7, 8 years old, got into Metallica, got into Slayer, got into like slightly heavier stuff. Like, I was into Alice Cooper, I was
Hmm.
into you know heavier but not necessarily heavy music, right?
Hmm.
And I was quite an angry. I think I still am fundamentally. Like I'm a very inherently angry person. Like I
Yeah.
have a lot of anger like deep in my soul. I don't have a lot of patience. I don't have a lot of time within myself, especially for myself. Like a lot of inner contempt for like
Hmm.
being a human being. I can't really explain it.
No, yeah,
You
I
get
get
what
it.
you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, entropy.
Yeah,
And all
that's
that.
it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
as I
Okay.
was getting older, it kind of manifested in like deeper and darker ways.
Hmm.
So I got really, I want to say I was 12, 13.
Hmm.
I was in, oh God, like I want to say like year 7, year 8, something like that. But whenever you're in like middle school,
Yeah.
UK kind of middle school time. Yeah,
Formative kid time.
yeah, the formative years. I was like 14,
Hmm.
13. I got really into Dark Throne. And then I kind of fell down a well of like, okay, Mayhem,
Yeah.
Marduk, Buddhism, the list goes on.
Hmm.
Any kind of like second wave, first wave black metal, I really, really like identified with it. I mean,
Mm.
shit, there's a reason.
Gorgoroth.
Yeah, fucking
Yeah.
Gorgoroth, anything like Gal did, like Gal's Weird, Gal Skag, Treldom,
Hmm.
Godseed. I could go on like forever about black metal, and if you care about black metal, people listening, by the way, look out for an episode coming out in a few weeks' time. We're interviewing a couple of black metal people. It's going to be a
I hope it's
whole
not
show. Sorry, no?
not Varg.
That would be good, wouldn't
That would
it?
be good. It'd be interesting if nothing
I
else.
would like to say this. Varg Vikernes is a fucking piece of shit.
Yep.
However,
Made some
you
good music.
you can't fault.
You
Most
can't.
of the Burzum albums are
You
really
really can't.
good.
This is the one big caveat about Vi. It's like, yeah, but Bosom, yeah, all right.
Ashk,
However,
yeah.
asterisk. That's the big asterisk on Bosom.
Ashk, Det som Engelbard, The Ways of Yore, fucking Philosophem, masterpieces. And you know
Yeah.
what? He came back genuinely. It's called what's it called? It's called like the Ways of Fuel. He made a black metal record this year that got leaked, and it's really good,
I don't doubt you. Um,
genuinely. But
it's
yeah,
part of the reason why I'm kind of glad that Quorthon died before he said anything too stupid.
well
Right?
that the problem is with Cawthorn. We didn't. I get the feeling that we kind of, if it would have, how to say, I'm trying to think of how to say it without sounding
Quorthon was too. No, hang on. Quorthon was too black metal to give a shit about
yeah,
what everyone else is doing.
it's true.
Right?
Yeah,
He was too black metal to give a shit. So he wouldn't have said anything anyway, because he was like, I don't care. I only care about my music.
like
Like,
Cawthorn was the genuine article where Euronymous was a complete fucking poser.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
I need to
Quorthon,
tell,
fuck me.
I need to tell someone, but I went to Helvet this year.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Oslo, Norway, and I went into the dungeon where they did all the Mayhem promos, and I have a picture of me on the black metal wall. And I went.
Oh, bloody hell.
No, it's true. It's true. It's on my fucking social media. And I was in the home of Mayhem, in the dawn of where it all began. And I bought a fucking Burzum vinyl.
Oh, bears and vinyl.
Why not? I mean, Demetrius Don
Yeah.
Satanis, the best part's the bass playing.
Black metal, I think, by contrast for me, is like quite a new thing. You know, I had listened to bits of black metal here or there, like those kind of early first, second wave bands when I was a teen. But I'm only like properly exploring it now. Really good album that I like is Stormkeep's kind of dungeon synthy black metal hybrid that they've got. Really enjoying that. So yeah, it's a weird one for me. Moonlight Sorcery as well. Oh my god, what
Moonlight Sorcery fucking rules.
oh my god, like
I,
yeah, Moonlight Sorcery. And I'm trying to think of who else that I've been into recently. Like that kind of heavier edge, like specifically black metal. I've always kind of stayed away from it as a brown man listening to heavy metal, for the obvious reasons. But honestly, I had nothing to fear aside from the bands that you know don't go to XY show because you get beat up, which
I
doesn't
mean,
really
yeah, maybe don't go
right.
and check out Absurd anytime soon.
Yeah, like I'm not about to go to any Pantera shows or anything like that, but
No.
you know, it's fine. It's fine. These things come with a caveat. You can appreciate the music and not necessarily agree with the people.
Yeah, and that's the kind of biggest thing because, like for me, I've been making black metal records for about 8 years, right?
Mm,
And it's probably my favorite genre of music like, ever. But
hmm
I'm well aware of the fact that it's kind of has the most terrible people within it,
Yeah,
like murderers, rapists, racists, whatever. They kind of lean towards black metal. They kind of get scapegoated a lot.
yeah, exactly. But within that, there's a lot to find from good people who aren't any of those things.
No,
Sometimes,
absolutely.
most of the time, 99.9% of the time, most people making black metal are fucking incredible.
Yeah, and as
Uh,
I'm getting older, I'm appreciating more of the niche stuff. So you mentioned atmospheric black metal. Some of my favorite atmospheric black metal bands of all time: Adora,
Tor,
Guerrera,
yeah, yeah.
Abigail Williams, Ghostbath. There's a lot of really fucking good shit within that subgenre that have nothing. Oh, what's another one? A Diadem of Dead Stars.
Mm.
That's a fucking great band.
I you know,
Hermajor as well, who did Fjord. That was
I
sick.
think I think there's something to be said about how meditative black metal is.
Oh yeah.
Like that's when I really got it. You know,
Well,
that's when I understood black metal.
me and you were kind
I
of
was like,
talking earlier about, earlier like last week about Cannon and Fever and Patushka,
yeah,
and
yeah.
those two
There's two
projects.
amazing examples. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of so I saw Batushka 2018, like that was with Bart Krushnik and Durf,
Was that peak
Christoph.
Matushka?
No,
No.
but that was that was the whole of Liturgia in full.
No.
That was fucking good. However, the split happened. Bart, stole the band out from under Durf. It was a whole thing.
Matushka of Fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Batushka Inc.
Matushka Inc. But oh my
Batushka
god.
AD.
Okay, let's talk about Kenon and Fibber because
Yes.
that record might be my favorite record this year.
I've seen Canon and Phoebe once. They were
I've seen
o-
Kenon and Fibber once.
they were opening for Durf's Batushka, and honest to God, so I've seen Durf's Batushka twice,
Hmm
and I love Panihida. It's a great album. He's a very influential guitar player on me. Like I listen to a lot of his stuff. I can play a few Batushka songs. I like that kind of vibe. Same with like Magua, Groza, War. What's it called? Wars Krieg. I forget the name of it. The other band with like Dark Side, the drummer. Same with like Ueda, Ghostbath. That kind
Oh
of
my god.
that
Yoda.
kind of era.
Yeah.
But
Um.
Cannon and Fever though, it blew Batushka out of the fucking water. Like I couldn't move with how it just hit me. Like I was witnessing
It
this
was. It was.
feeling.
It was religious. It's
Yeah,
religious.
yeah.
It is. The way that I saw them was we were at Hellfest this year. My friend Robbie. Do you know Robbie? He's Devolver's publishing director.
I believe so.
Yeah, super cool guy. But he goes, I've heard of this band. They're called Canon and Phoebe. They're not Nazis, I promise. And I was like, okay, fine, good enough. Let's go and see them. And I was not prepared for that
No.
show in any way, shape, or form to be as moving, as incredible as it is.
Oh
He's
yeah.
got this so noise, the the brains behind a lot of it, has a couple of other projects. And he said in some interviews, because I did some research afterwards, that he's a big fan of Rammstein, and that part of it really clicked.
The
And
theatrics of it, definitely.
looking back, he's doing the Tillhammer, right?
Yeah.
You know, um, incredible stage presence. It's just a really fucking good show.
It's very
And
immersive.
it's very immersive. And at the end, when they have this wall of death, and you go forward, and that was it. And then the show ends,
Yeah.
when he's wearing the death mask. Andy, who I mentioned earlier, was like about half an hour after we left, and we were like, "Holy fuck, what was that?" He goes, "I've just clocked it, boys. When he sent that wall of death in, it was him sending his troops over the top."
Yeah. It was no man's land.
And I was like, "Fuck." Right?
It
And
goes so
it,
fucking hard.
it goes so far, and the music is incredible. Right? The music is fucking incredible.
It
There's a
is.
track on the new record called Sturmtrupp.
The intro alone is worth listening to.
What's the first track? God, yeah. Those two tracks are really, really good. Um, that's it's. I don't know what to say about it. Like there is that black metal element to it, yes, but then it's kind of, it blends into a harmony so seamlessly. It's
Oh yeah.
ridiculously good.
The
Um,
melodies as well, like the way the 7 string guitar. There's a lot of like proper like death metal, like proggy kind of industrial playing that kind of
it's
weaves over the melodies in a way I've never heard before.
yeah, yeah. I'm
So
like
good.
convinced this noise is just absolutely incredible. Probably one of my favorites immediately.
It's
In this
definitely up
regard.
there for me too. But I'll say this much: like for me, some of my favorite live shows ever, Cannon and Fever, Batushka, Panihida the first time.
Hmm.
The first time I saw probably In Flames live, like the very
Wow.
first time,
Yeah.
going back a while. Scar Symmetry, first time I saw them. First time I saw Batushka, no, not Batushka, Behemoth, around the time the Satanist came out.
Yeah.
Amazing
Blow your
record.
trumpets.
Yeah,
Um, that's a record. That is a record.
I met Adam Darsky twice that year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were drinking out around Camden for a few hours, which was fun.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate that Nurgle's so lame. Um,
Yeah, I've kind of soured on like I didn't like I like Love You to Darkest that much, and
mm,
then of Contra Natrum, the one that came out like 2 years ago, couldn't get
yeah.
into it, and it makes me sad because
Yeah.
I've got two Behemoth tattoos on my wrists,
Yeah.
and I've read Nurgle's book Confessions of the Heretic, and the
Mm,
guitar that I play, ESP Hex 7, his original 2009
yeah.
signature model from when Evangelion came out. They
Uh,
like literally like 10 years ago they were my favorite band.
Zosky Occult is probably one of my favorite metal records.
I mean, it's a perfect record.
Hmm.
If I wake up tomorrow, I might say Demigod instead. But Saskia Occult is like blackest of the black, no sympathy for fools, as above, so below.
Yeah. It's
But
just
then,
bangers.
but then,
Just bangers.
then Evangelion has like a fire in the void.
Of Fire and Void. Yeah.
Lucifer. I need to listen to more Behemoth, man. But I will say, so when I was getting into black metal, I didn't like the death metal stuff Behemoth were doing. I kind of
Mm.
felt like they were just kind of ripping off Morbid Angel when I was
Like
like 15.
death metal is like the genre that I least vibe with. I've learned.
As I'm getting
Uh,
older, I'm finding myself like I love seeing it live, but I don't listen to it as much on records now. But like
yeah,
I
I'm the
saw
opposite. Like I could probably listen to a record, but I don't want to see a live death metal show anymore.
because I saw Cannibal Corpse like 3 4 times,
Yeah.
and they're great, they're fun, but it's gotten to a point where the novelty's worn off. Like one of the best bands I ever saw live, a band called Hypocrisy. You ever heard of
Hmm.
Hypocrisy?
No.
That was Peter Tagren, who was in Lindemann, like the side project of Till
Yeah.
Lindemann. He did all the instrumentals for that, and he's in like a neo industrial band called Pain, and he's really
Mhm.
good in that. And he replaced Mikhail Ackerfeld from Opeth when they did Bloodbath, the second album.
Yeah.
Not what was the first album called? It's like Purification, Resurrection through something like that. The second album was called Cancer of the Soul.
Mm.
No, no, that's a song from the album. It was called Nightmares Made Flesh.
Uh-huh.
And that album, that vocals on that record, Cancer of the Soul, Eaton, the whole fucking album, some of the best death metal vocals ever recorded by anyone ever. The man's a
Mm.
fucking genius. But as I'm seeing more death metal live and I'm hearing more death metal, I'm just not excited anymore
Yeah,
because the
that's the main thing. It's not. It's like I've seen a lot of death metal. I
yeah,
can't name like off the top of my head like Pestilence. Let's give you an example,
I've
right?
seen Pestilence. I
Um,
know the guitarist in Pestilence.
oh,
He's a good guy. God, Rutger Nudenberg. He used to be in a
oh,
band called Bleeding Gods a couple of years ago. Open for Scar Symmetry and no, not Scar Symmetry. Open for Belphegor
oh,
2018.
that makes sense.
There you go.
Yes, I've seen a lot of death metal, and I think this is probably why a lot of some modern deathcore doesn't really hit me. It's because it's very abstracted from that death metal.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know. It just feels a bit boring. I don't know what to say. It just feels a bit boring
Well, how
now.
many times can you hear the same five frets in the
Yeah.
same A standard, A sharp, drop G, that same kind of chugging polyrhythm?
Mm,
Like I got really into like slamming brutal death metal when when the fad was at its like peak. Abominable Putridity, like Volvodynia, Zavleg,
I
Christ,
used to
Mutilated.
go to some parties with the guys from Malevolence a long time ago.
Malevolence are cool, man. I remember. Yeah, that's sick, man. But
Um,
it's that kind of thing where I'm like, I've seen Malevolence quite a few times. I like him. I will always probably see him if I get the chance to. But do I listen to the music on a record? Now, probably not. Same with like Volvodynia. I met those guys a few times. Love what they were doing the first couple of albums. Like Finis, Omnium Ignoratium, Cagnes and Castigation, Lord of Plagues, that kind of
mm,
era. But do I keep up with it now as I did when I was 16 to now where I'm 26? Your tastes just
yeah,
change. I feel like.
I forget how young you are. Bloody hell!
How old are you?
I'm 30.
That's not that much older than me.
That's 4 years, but you're in your mid-20s. You got a whole life ahead of you.
I got 4 years ahead of me, man.
Yeah, 4 years ahead.
But
Happy days.
I know,
No,
crazy.
it's yeah. I just don't vibe with death metal or its permutations that much. Really, like I'm much more into like prog in all of its forms that it takes up wherever it shows up. Um,
I had a weird period where I was into porno grind for a while. That's a weird genre.
fair enough.
Okay,
I'm willing to go on.
it sounds like it's gonna be like some grim death metal with like porn samples. It's not that at all. It's essentially just a shit posting genre. So there's a really
Like
big band
crapcore style.
yeah, yeah, kind of. There's a really big band in the subgenre called Alien Fucker, and it's like they'll do like synth covers of like the SpongeBob theme with like
Uh,
crappy programmed drums and like gurgling into the mic, like not like a growl, not a mid growl, not like a guttural, but like trying to sound like a trash compactor recorded like downstairs into the bath. And something about that sound just hit my ear right when I was like 16, 17, and I don't know why. They made, genuinely though, they made one fucking black metal record completely out of left field. We Sacrifice Aliens to Lucifer.
uh-huh.
Complete shit post, but genuinely one of the best black metal albums I've heard in a long time. It still holds up. And they made a side project called Space Rituals. They made one song. They never did anything again. That made me very sad. But there you go.
I tell a lie. There is one death metal band that I really like, and you just reminded me with that porno grind tangent.
Go on.
Um, so you've definitely heard of him. Did you ever watch Power Rangers as a child?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
The band is named Goldar.
Oh,
The EP
dude.
is Goldar by Goldar. Track 1, I Am Goldar. Track 2,
Fuck
All
yeah,
Zen.
man.
Track 3, All for Rita. Track 4, Bow to the King. Track 5, The Rangers Are in Danger. Track 6, Kill All the Power Rangers. Track 7, My Comrades. Track 8, I Am Goldar. Reprise.
Track 9. You're not going to the juice bar, motherfucker.
Earnings is off limits. Yeah, but the guy sings like Goldar from Power Rangers, and they're all like 1 minute long.
This
Sorry,
sounds fucking
sorry,
amazing.
I need to sell. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Goldar Las Vegas. I love those stupid Bandcamp bands that you see. Another one that I really enjoyed this year was I Am the Intimidator.
That's fucking dope.
So it's based on the career of NASCAR race driver Dale Earnhardt, and the EP is a concept record about the last moments of his life before he crashed into a wall.
That's heavy as fuck, man.
It's really fucking good.
God, that sounds fucking sick.
Yeah, the cover art is a guy wearing Earnhardt's clothes with his fucking sword. It rules. It really does rule. Um,
Damn, that's fucking badass.
yeah. So yeah, Bandcamp. Support and discover new things that are not on Spotify.